In just 2 weeks, we are going to enter the 2020 video game gauntlet, where almost every single week it feels like a brand new giant AAA release is scheduled to come out. So we are going to be talking about some of the biggest games of the industry for pretty much the entire rest of the year. So before we get to that, I wanted to come in here and give the indie developers their time. I wanted to come in here and do a quick review of one of the big indie games that's out there right now, but which one to choose. Oh, do I pick the charming puzzle game? Do I pick the spooky text-based horror game? Or do I pick the overly horny business simulator / dating sim?
That's me, baby.
You all clicked on this video, so you all know what the answer was. Yes, today we are talking about Max Gentleman's Sexy Business, which I believe you have to actually say the title like that every single time. Now, as I said, this is a business simulator / dating simulator, two genres that I don't care for at all. Yeah, I'm not a fan of business simulators, I'm not a fan of dating simulators. However, I actually backed this game on Kickstarter. And the reason why I backed it was because when I saw the pitch video for this, I looked at it and went, this reminds me of Monster Prom. And as I said, I'm not into dating simulators, but Monster Prom is quite possibly the funniest game I have ever played. That is a game that I constantly return to and just have a blast with. And I later found out that one of the producers on this game was Jesse Cox, who was also one of the producers on Monster Prom. So, hey man, that was enough to make me trust it. That was enough to make me go, all right, I'll jump in, I'll throw some cash its way. And the game has now finally come out, and I am pleased to say this is actually a success. But not an overwhelming success. Basically, the purpose of the game is that you are a Victorian-era tycoon whose rival has come in here and snatched the company up right underneath you, so now you are penniless and you have to slowly work your way back up and rebuild your fortune so you can challenge him once again and get back everything he stole from you. And along the way, you're going to end up recruiting several other people to help you out to try and build up your empire, and that's basically the premise of the game. There are a few other little twists thrown in here, but yeah, this isn't exactly story heavy, it is mechanic heavy and character heavy. The way the game works is that you have to challenge one company after another to a hostile takeover duel, and by that I mean an actual duel in the town square where you essentially just fight them, and then after you defeat them, you end up adding their resources to your own. So what you have to do is you have to take your employees and put them in different buildings around the entire map, and you can put them in the bank in order to increase your income, you can put them in the gym to increase their strength, you can put them in the barbershop to increase what they end up calling their mustache stat, which is essentially your charisma, because then you also have to go to the slums where you use your mustache charisma points in order to recruit new employees, so then you can take all your employees and fight the employees of the other business you're trying to take over in the town square, and the number of employees you have mixed with your strength stat are going to end up deciding who ends up winning that match. But every single one of your employees have a certain amount of what they call moxie, but it's essentially your stamina, so you can only be out and working for so many hours every single day before you're exhausted and you have to come back and then you have to recharge. And there are different items that you can get that can give you completely different types of stat buffs depending on where you end up going. And if you think that that sounds overly complicated, no, it's not. It's actually pretty easy to understand. But it is a lot to keep track of. However, that's kind of the point of a business simulator. The point is, you end up getting a lot of employees, and you have to know where to put them at what time, and how long they can be in that one building, and who ends up having the best stats to put in this other building over there. If you are somebody who enjoys just basically juggling a lot of elements all at once, this game works for that pretty darn well. I will admit, I do kind of wish that they had the option to speed it up, because eventually when I had like 11 employees and I had 5 different slots I could put them in and 6 different buildings that they could all be doing things in, yeah, there was a lot that I could keep track of, but in the beginning of the game, and mild spoiler alert, later on in the game, when you end up going back to only having 1 employee, yeah, it's kind of slow. It's kind of just you sitting there going, okay, all right, just watch that little bar fill up. All right, and I get it's supposed to be slow in the beginning, but I do wish that they gave you that option to maybe go at, like, say, double speed in order to speed those parts up. But what makes this game so interesting? It isn't balancing all the different elements of it, it's the writing. It's that, as I said, the thing that sold me on this game was that it looked really clever. It looked like it was gonna be really funny. And it is! This game is actually really hilarious. When this game started up, I was laughing multiple times just in the opening little cutscene that they had. Well, it's not really a cutscene, but in the little opening exchange between all the different characters when everybody's being introduced. Yeah, I was really enjoying getting to meet all these characters and just the very unique oddball style of writing that they have behind this, because yes, this is meant to be a Victorian era tycoon, so it's basically every rich person joke you could possibly imagine taken to the most extremes that anyone could take them. And it works! This game cracked me up, and I loved all the different characters. They're all insane personalities, and they're all taken up to 11, and I respect any game that's willing to go as far with it as this game went. Here's the thing, though. It feels like there came a point during the development of this game where they just kind of stopped. Where they just went, all right, we've done enough. And hey man, they worked on this game for a while. I'm sure they put their blood, sweat, and tears in this game. I am not saying that anybody was lazy on this game. No, not at all. But there are very clear things in this game where it feels like, oh, you could have added so much personality into that, and you didn't. For example, as I said, this is also a dating sim. You do end up gaining affection points from the employees that you end up hiring. And again, I have to really drive this home. All the employees are just wonderfully crazy personalities. I enjoyed every single character in here. But you do end up having to go on little dates with these characters, and sometimes you'll have a character-specific date, and yeah, that will have its own unique dialogue specific to the things going on there, and I loved it. I had a blast on every single one of those dates. But there are little events that you'll have to do to build up those affection points, like go on a lunch date with someone, or you'll have to end up playing a game of cards with them. And yeah, all the dialogue in those scenes are exactly the same. It doesn't matter what character you pick, what character you're going out with on this little lunch date, or playing a game of cards with, or playing another game with. Yeah, they're all going to have the exact same dialogue. And it kind of drove me nuts. Like, that is a perfect opportunity to put very unique dialogue in for each character to show off each of their personalities, and they just didn't. And it's really kind of a shame. Or another example of what I'm talking about, every couple of hours in the game, by the way, when I say hours in the game, I mean in-game hours. For you, it's going to be like 5 minutes. But every couple of hours in the game, an event will happen in which they will come to you and they'll say, "Sir, something terrible has happened over at the factory." And the scenarios that they give you are hilarious. I loved all the scenarios that they had in here. They're very funny. And then you will be given 3 different options from either your business maid, your battle butler, both of whom are great characters as well, and some of the other characters in the game. And depending on what options you pick as the solution to this problem, will decide on how many employees you gain, how much money you gain, how much money you lose, how much respect you lose with the town, because that's a whole other stat in there that can completely change how you play the game. As I said, it's a very well thought out game. However, when it comes to these options that you're given, there came a point in which I realized, oh, none of these are specific to the characters either. Also, this game is pretty long. If you want to get to the end of it, it's gonna be about 20 hours long. You're gonna repeat every single option that they give you over and over and over and over again. It feels like they needed to triple the number of these little scenarios that they had come up in here. And again, they're really good scenarios, but when Battle Butler comes to me for the 5th time and says, "Sir, the trained bears you hired to entertain all of your workers have broken free and are running wild throughout the city." Yeah, I know exactly what stats to pick, which ones I want. Yeah, there's no surprises in that anymore. I think a great way to sum up how unique this game is and how special the game is that every single time that you level up one of your employees, you unlock new costumes and new artwork for them, and those are really cool. But there also came a moment early on in this game in which I realized, oh, none of these characters ever change expression. Like, in most other dating sims that you play, if a character is happy, their body's going to be the exact same pose, but their expression will be happy. And then when they get sad, their face will become sad. Basically, their face will constantly change within the same static body shot, so that way they don't have to do too much work on it, but it does add nice variety. It does add more personality to these characters. And in this game, you get lots of unlockables. You get unlockables for their costumes and for their artwork, but their expression is exactly the same no matter what. And I just kept looking at it going, guys, it feels like you got so close to getting this so right. And then you just forgot to do like one thing here at the end. If I have to sum this game up, it feels like a game that has a 100 in terms of ideas, but it only got about 75% of those ideas out. Again, I respect these developers for how much work they put into the game, but it doesn't feel like it was quite ready yet. So I'm gonna give this a 7.5. It is a lot of fun. If you are as won over by the idea of a kooky, crazy comedy dating sim business simulator set in Victoria era England as I was, then yeah, go ahead and check it out. But I do have to kind of come back around to this. If you have never played like a crazy, jokey comedy dating sim and this is something that you're looking for, Monster Prom. Go with Monster Prom first, play that for a while, and then if you like that and you want something that's kind of similar to it, then check out Max Gentleman's Sexy Business. Like I said, you have to say it like that every single time. Also, one last thing to warn people about. Don't play this game in front of your Nana. Yeah, this is not a family-friendly game. I'm just going to let you guys know that right now. I didn't want to talk about that earlier on because I feel like it's not that important to the game. I feel like you do need to cover all the other elements of the game first, but now that we got that out of the way and we're about to end this review, yeah, not for families. Just putting that out there right now. In fact, there's even a setting at the beginning of this where you decide how sexy you want the game to be, and it says, this option is good for dates. And I just looked at that and went, it really depends on which date it is and how well you know the other person. I'm just going to leave it there at that. But yeah, thank you guys very much. Let me know what you think of this game in the comments down below. Also, make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you want to see longer reviews from us, more professionally well thought out reviews with skits and a script and all those other good things that we enjoy doing on this channel. Because as I said, coming up in a few weeks, we're going to be doing a lot of those. So thank you guys for tuning in. You can follow us around the internet on Twitter at Thorgi's Arcade and on Twitch at Professor Thorgi. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time. Bye.